I squatted down for a bit when I came back to my senses. My entire room had changed drastically. The numbness in my head was gone, and slowly I could tell blood was flowing through my extremities again. How long had I been squatting here? How many minutes? Or has it been hours? It was almost as if the hands on the clock had stopped moving the entire time my eyes were closed. That's how little time passed. See? It's just weird like that in freaking novels. Really? The air in the room wasn't filled with that madness from before, only a dull silence. Rena wasn't there pinning my arms, and Mion wasn't there about to inject me with a needle. No way. Could it be all that was a hallucination? There was no other presence in the room besides my own. It was the weirdest experience I ever had. It was certainly with Rena and Mion. I doubted my sanity for a moment, but I was also seized with some sort of comfort. I guess the terrible ordeal was a hallucination. Now, Rena or Mion, they wouldn't ever do something terrible. My head grew hot. I could tell my emotions were welling up. Why? That wasn't a reason to cry. Why? It was sorrow. Why was I sad? I don't understand. Trying clever and not discriminating against age or gender. Mion. That Mion was sprawled by the window in an unnatural pose. Ooh, plot twist! Blood stained her, a deep red from her head down to her chest. The bright crimson smeared on the walls, that splatter had undoubtedly come from Mion. She always had that bright smile and was kind to me from the day I transferred. Rena. That same Rena was slumped at my feet and was making the same pool of blood as Mion. I couldn't comprehend what had happened. Did someone come to save me? Then they beat those two down. This metal bats? I finally noticed the weight in my right hand. How long had it been there? It was Satoshi's metal bat. It was covered in a deep red. There was no doubt that this was the weapon used to mutilate both of them. And I was holding that weapon. I was the only person in the house. Looking at this objectively, I couldn't think of anyone other than myself who would have done it. I did this. That's right. Keiichi Maibara. Of course you did. I told myself gently, as if coaxing myself. Hey, me. There's no reason for you to remember it, nor is there need to regret it. Eat or be eaten. You get that, don't you? Blood. So much. Neither Ren nor Mion had moved an inch. It wasn't just a split forehead and a trickle of blood. Nothing that simple. The entire room was splattered with red, and that told me it didn't end with just two of these bites. Were they dead? Both of them? The depths of my mind were calm, but on the surface, I was panicking and agitated. By the way, I'm voice acting it. Just giving the impression it's like your mind isn't exactly calm and like, well, he's kind of going over this like kind of matter-of-factly, isn't he? A bit slow, I guess. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. What happened to your usual calm self? Come on now. Like you always do, throw your head back and take a deep breath. Come on. Once, twice, breathe deeply. Calm down. Calm the fuck down. I chanted that over and over in my head and relaxed. Or did he? Color came back to my vision and smells reinfused the air. At the same time, I remembered what happened when I blacked out. Oh god, we're gonna actually see the scene. We aren't actually gonna see, like, CGs of it happening or anything. But still, Rena and Leon had attacked me. They were about to inject me with whatever caused the same symptoms as Tomodachi-san. But right before that happened, I fought back. I twisted my whole body and threw Rena as she was pinning my arms. Then I followed through with my spin and rammed my foot as hard as I could into Mion's torso. It was soft. Rena tried jumping on me, so I tackled her as hard as I could and slammed her against the wall. I didn't let that brief moment of having them off balance slip by. Stoshi's bat that was left carelessly by the side of my desk. Weep. What? At that moment everything went pitch black. There was nothing recorded past this point in the videotape of my mind. No, that wasn't right. It wasn't that there was nothing recorded. It was recorded just fine. Just the other me inside myself had told me not to look and had turned off the TV. Just because the screen had gone blank and I couldn't see it didn't mean that the videotape within me hadn't recorded it. The TV was just off. The video was still playing. The tape within me creaking along, still playing. On the other end of that pitch black screen, that horrifying video was still playing on. Compared to this, though, the scene right before my eyes, was still so difficult to take in. There was blood splattered everywhere on the walls, the two of them in these unnatural poses. Not a sign of movement from them. I couldn't even tell if they were breathing, no matter what the circumstances were. My friends, these girls I had attacked them, and they'd even killed them. But if I hadn't done this, I would have been the one done for. Bouncing that out on an imaginary scale, it felt odd that I'd even feel bad about it. I don't really know what to say, man. Told you, man. Freaking Higurashi, man. Fucked up shit. Even if it was a bit excessive, this was justifiable self-defense. Justifiable my ass. I mean, if you're going with self-defense, surely the, idea would be like to disarm, not to, beat the holy living shit till they die. That's not self-defense, man. That's a bit further than that. The proof was all here. I mean, like when he freaking hits Mion in the gut, that could have been it. Just like whack and make a break for it. No. The two of them collapsed here in Mion's syringe. Mion's syringe filled with some unknown drug would certainly solve the mystery surrounding the incident with Onikakushi. And from the fact that both of these two were involved, they'd be able to pick out the criminals one after the other. Still, I might just thinking that it's like, yeah, Keiichi, about that, you still got a problem with this whole thing here. Still, I might be suspected for this. Gee, I wonder why. But that was just fine. Anyway, now this should be a police affair. Just like he doesn't give a fuck, he just wants answers. This wouldn't fade into darkness like Rena's past symptoms. As long as the police were involved, that should bring this to a close. They'd probably revisit the investigation on the chain of incidents. Oyashiro-sama would definitely get to the bottom of it. Meaning my wish of not wanting to die, of wanting to know the truth that would be fulfilled in its most basic form. It was all a matter of time now. The doctor Rena called should be getting here soon. I'll confess everything to him. I'll leave the contact to Oyashiro-sama. At that moment I remembered. Besides the doctor, a manager had been called. It was easy to imagine that there was someone deeply involved with the incident judging from Rena and Mion's conversation. The ache in my chest caused by the gruesome deed I'd done dissipated rapidly. It was not over yet. This place was no longer safe. Stay calm, Keiichi Maibara. It's not over yet. I needed to live long enough to tell the police of this incident. At that moment, I felt like I heard someone's voice from outside. Since people were speaking, it must mean there was more than one person. I moved the curtain ever so slightly and peered outside. It was a bizarre sight. About 4 or 5 grown men were all gathered at the gates. They very much resemble the two men who had assaulted me at the dam site today. Those two might even be among them. There was one person there wearing a white coat, but he didn't look like a doctor at all. My gut told me that he was in disguise, only posing as a doctor. That guy would probably ring the bell and get me to open the front door. Pretend to be a doctor to get me to open the door, and then the rest of them would all rush in at once. That moment I saw the car parked behind the men, and my heart nearly skipped a beat. The white van! Shit, it's all coming back now, isn't it? Still come together. Or is it? No mistake. That van, the one had tried to run me down. Well, now's your chance, Kate. You write down that number plate. The man in the white coat entered the gate and headed towards the front door. The rest of the men hid in the bushes and watched him. I probably couldn't pretend that I wasn't home. Undoubtedly, they just break the window and enter. I need to get out of here somehow. Then use a public phone to contact Uchi-san. Then meet up somewhere. First of all, I need a weapon. Then shoes. My God, shoes. But before all that, there was one thing that I had to do. I had no intention of dying. I'd live and reveal the truth about this nonsensical curse, oyashiro-sama. But what would happen from here on, regardless of how determined I was, would bring about my demise. And that was why. There was one thing more important than getting out of here right now. I need to get that cork out quickly and take down a note hidden behind it. Damn it! The tape was sticking to it fast. I'd be fine if it was torn a little. I opened up the slightly torn note and began writing an old passage with a ballpoint pen. I wasn't able to inform Uchi-san, and the only thing I could rely on was this note. I'd never thought a piece of torn college rule notebook paper would be this reliable before. I had no time to really write what I knew right now. I needed to leave some sort of information that would lead to uncover the truth. Renner and Leon are conspirators of the perpetrators. This was an undeniable fact. I still don't believe it, but it was a fact. Anyway, I believe all the information that would help lead them to finding the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white van. Still haven't wrote down their license plate, though. This is everything I was able to see from the window. There may be more. Also, there was that unidentified person known as the manager. To begin with, the term manager didn't even mesh with Hinibizawa at all. If they were going to include the managers from the past instance, then the only one is the construction foreman, the victim in the first murder, the very first victim in a chain of incidents, killed in a lynching, his body divided into 6 pieces. His right arm was never discovered. That's because it was attached all along! No, that wouldn't make sense. The police should have confirmed that death, but Renner and Mion did both call him manager. They said manager. They wouldn't use that term to refer to someone who was dead. The police would never even conceive that someone who was deceased could be involved. Would that be some sort of oversight? I don't know. But even if I didn't know, it could be a big hint for Uchi-san. That's right. They needed to start fresh from the first incident. It wasn't just a simple dismemberment, but the start of the string of mysterious steps that would follow. To them, there must be something hidden there. Please reinvestigate the victim for the dismemberment incident. He's alive. Whatever you say, his death should have been established after an autopsy. Logically, you would think as much. Dude, man, the whole, just the one arm, that's all that combined. But was that really the case? Could it have been some sort of ploy that they were able to deceive the police with? I shouldn't jump to conclusions. He's totally doing that, though. But he may still be alive. I have no time to ponder that right now. Oh, yeah. There's something even more important I need to write. Onikakushi-san's death was from an unknown drug. That's right. That drug. It was an irreplaceable piece of evidence. No doubt, just by having this, everything would be uncovered. I couldn't just leave that vital clue lying on the floor. The syringe is proof. Writing that down, I stuck the syringe onto the back of the clock with plenty of tape, so it actually would not slip out and fall to the floor. Firmly! The bell rang. They were here! I couldn't write anymore. But even still, there was one last thing that I had to write. I have no idea why it has become like this. This may be the closest thing to the truth out of everything I wrote on this note. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though you may or may not find my body. If I was going to write out everything that could happen, I would die with the curse of being demoned away. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. That is my only desire. It was aliens, Keiichi. Aliens! No. I won't spoil what is like the major whole thing with the plot. Because it would be a major spoiler, you know, and it will take us a long time before we start to see like things start and piece together. Because the Higurashi series is weird. You'll, like I said near the start of this question arc, once you go to the next question arc, you'll see why it's so strange in the way that I'm thinking anyway. Because, I mean, you can already see that it's a strange series, but it gets even stranger. With this, my last will and testament was complete. It wasn't certain that I was going to die. Don't you mean I? But it was my final plea, just in case. I folded the note, stuck it back onto the back of the clock, and returned the clock back to its usual spot. I couldn't help but pray, Oyashiro-sama. If something happens to me, I leave the rest to you. After that, I gazed down silently at Ren and Neon. This was probably the last time we'd ever see each other. Ren and Neon. I really had thought all of us were friends. Why did it end up like this? Also, on topic, if you remember, this whole question arc in the opening technically started with this very scene. Now that you look at it in that respect, it's like the freaking opening spoils the ending in a way there, didn't it? Never had any fun in my previous school. I only worried about standardized test scores. About if the school I hoped to get into was where I really wanted to go, or a safety net. That was all I talked about. It was a dull life. People like old friends were also my rivals in studying, competition, personal records, and standardized test scores. Everyone here taught me how unhealthy that lifestyle was. This lunch was really fun. Making a fuss over lunch, making a fuss over the club, making a fuss over the test score. Something hot began dripping from my face. Uncontrollable tears. I should have had no obligation to shed tears for them, but they wouldn't stop. Even if they were after my life, even if they were trying to kill me, everything that happened this month, I wouldn't forget it. Or could it be those happy days were all a facade as well? Was it all a trap? I mercilessly walked straight up until today, trying to snare me. Could it have been that I had just barely assumed that they were my friends? Couldn't have been the case. Both Ren and Neon, they really were my friends. Those happy days. There was nothing fake or unclear about them. Someone probably forced them to try to kill me. Or their minds were taken over, possessed by the supernatural entity known as oyashiro-sama. Regardless, with Ren and Neon, they were the best friends ever. And when they were coming after me, it wasn't of their own volition. They were the kind of people that sell off their friends, regardless of whether or not they were forced. There's no way such a thing like being possessed by oyashiro-sama could happen in reality. Then, did the real Ren and Neon come after me? What was I thinking? What a silly, dumb idea. Having beaten down both Ren and Neon, I was still debating if they were the real ones or fakes. There was no real or fake, only the reality that was before me. Ren and Neon was swirled out at my feet. That was the only truth. I was only trying to twist the facts to my benefit. I had beaten my friends. No matter how I spun it, it wouldn't change reality. Ren and Neon were both dead. It felt like they were as a crack in the damn strange emotions I was holding back. It felt like my calmest state, which was nothing more than a bluff, had receded at a net opening. Insanity was leaking out. I killed him. Ren and Mion. I killed him. Yeah, seriously. Fucked. The doorbell rang again. Man, seriously, we need some comic relief at times like this. I mean, it's inappropriate, but my god, the tension is just fucking reached peak. The unrelenting echo pulled me back into a state of composure once again. I didn't have a moment to spare. Quickly, I needed to get away. I didn't want to die. I would uncover everything after that. The identity of whoever or whatever had pushed me this far. Even if I had to drink mud and eat grass. I would survive. I would survive. I would definitely survive. Like the song. I killed Ren for that very reason. I also killed Mion. I went that far just to keep living. So I can't die. For my sake and for the sake of the late Ren and Mion. I have to survive! I ran towards the door and grabbed my shoes. The doorbell rang again as it if to urge me on. Behind this single solitary door, they were there. So I was like, fuck that, keeping quiet, I headed towards the kitchen. Headed towards the back door. Before opening the back door, I put my ear to it and checked for people outside. No one. After I put on my shoes, I opened the door slowly so as not to make a sound. There he is, the back door! A piercing voice echoed out. That voice stabbed through me, setting my hair on end. Okay, this will relieve the tension a bit. Sorry, like, I know some people stumble upon this video probably like, we want to get into the mood and to keep ruining it. It's like, well, it's on Steam and it's also on Manga Gamer's site. Buy the novel and read it, you know. Also, as usual, point out, Manga Gamer is a not safe for work 18 plus type of site. But they're the ones that translated it. But it's also on Steam, so yeah. 2 options for that. But anyways, it's just like that right there, where they're like, there he is, the back door! It reminds me of the first time I played Fear, like the first one. I didn't find the stuff with Alma particularly like, oh my god, it's scary. I just found the fucking typical soldiers scary. It's just like, just be like casually, just like stealthily walking around, and he'd be like, and then you just hear this voice just come from silence, where it's be like, he's over there, and I'd be like, ah, fuck. Scarier than the freaking paranormal shit in that game, which is weird. I have to run! Get out of your cage! One after the other, I felt stuff like rationale and intelligence. Those things you use when you have time to spare spill out of me. I didn't feel any pain from the branches scratching my arms and forehead. My enormously pulsing heart also felt neither fatigue nor pain. My entire being just wished to live. There was nothing else it desired. It probably had no complaints whatsoever. So of course I wouldn't feel fatigue. I just ran. God damn it. He just ran so far away. Oh fuck, I forget how to play. Just have to do that. I mean, it's right there, man. That's the name of the song. Well, it's not I just ran, it's I ran, whatever. Well, you know, separately, not I ran as in the country, you know. But anyway, just frantically rushing in the direction I was already heading. Even if nobody was chasing after me, I'd still be running like this. There wasn't a thought in my mind about where I was headed. Turning around, I felt a presence right next to me. That presence was without a doubt chasing me like my shadow. If I took even one step, I would be devoured. That's what I thought. So I didn't turn around. I didn't stop. I ran at full speed. How many miles per hour do you think Keiichi can run? That's not the sound of... Well, they are cicadas, but Higurashi. Wasn't it like beep, it was weird than that. Why not? It was like, well, I suppose they do have that kind of sound to them as well. There was a chirping of the Higurashi tell me it was evening. I mean, they're called evening cicadas, but we hear them all the goddamn time, regardless of the time of day here. Trying to tell me something, and then I finally heard it. The wailing cry of the victims who didn't make it. Yeah, you weren't paying attention, were you? The Higurashi was saying all along, Keiichi, you're fucked. Don't you remember? Will I be joining them? What the fuck is that? Only the Higurashi knew. They knew everything. They definitely knew. So I ran towards where I could hear more of the Higurashi's chirps. But the further I ran, the further away their chirping became. I couldn't get near them. Why are you all running away? Was it my fault? Was I the one to blame? Then I'll apologize. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. Oh, did I mention I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. I felt that only the Higurashi knew, so I was like, I'm sorry, Higurashi. Just like, clearly Keiichi's, he's gone, man, he's gone, he's lost it. Higurashi, why am I cry? Demon and not chased by shadows. The smoking room was filled with a cloud of cigarette smoke. The expensive smoke filter gave off some crackling electronic noise. Well, same thing. But it didn't seem like it was doing anything at all. Why do smokers have to be shoved so far down this corridor where the sun didn't even reach? I recall hearing that the tax revenue from tobacco was about a tenth of the revenue. We were the most heavily taxed members of this. Why do I always struggle with words like that? So I really wish they'd show us a little more respect. Pretty sure this is Oichi's perspective now. Why would you discard the 5 manzu there? It's just increasing your options. One of the... it's some different category. Why would you discard the 5 manzu there? It's just increasing your options. One of the younger detectives was having a staring contest with a mahjong magazine called Next Turn. There he is. You're still in turn 5, you got the 5 manzu. You've been on a high day, then shouldn't you be going into it with a mangan? I wish he's into mahjong. We'll see quite a lot of that in the 4th question arc. And I don't know jack shit about mahjong, to be honest. It's like, the version that I know of mahjong isn't even the traditional version of mahjong, so I don't know what it'd be like. Reminds me of freaking Zeta plays. He plays he's got most games on the NES, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. And he'll just has this wheel of crap thing that just chooses one of the games at random to play. And he has come across so many bloody mahjong games. That and games that are just in Japanese, which he's just the game ends up becoming for him a battle against the Japanese menus. It's hilarious, especially when he comes across freaking novels, for example, like this, and they're all in Japanese, and he just makes up his own story for it. It's amusing, but anyway, we get off subject. Who's speaking again? Blah 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 blah. Kuba-chan, look at the pond. They all discarded 5 man's to it. It's a safe tile. You'd hate if at the end game someone was sitting on a 10 pie on the last turn, wouldn't you? Kid let out an old groan, but his cigarette, then took out another one. I just don't care. Why would you reduce your own options? By the way, you can't call Ron with your winning tile in that heighty blah blah. What was that? Just then I heard a voice coming from down the hall. Are you here, Oishi-san? You have a call from a civilian. Whoa, ain't that something? Well, see you soon. Why can't you call Ron on it? Hold on for a second, Oishi-san. What the fuck does that even mean? The man sitting in the seat Oishi-san was heading towards waved at the telephone receiver. Outside line from a payphone. Oh, why thank you. Sorry to keep you waiting. This is Oishi. They say something in Japan. I remember watching the anime years ago. Is it mushi or something like that they say when they pick up a phone, isn't it? And I distinctly remember him saying that. Is it mandatory every time you pick up a phone you have to say that? Is there the Japanese equivalent of saying hello? Who is this? Probably, actually, now I think about it. Who is it? Ah, Oishi-san! Hello! Ah, if it isn't my bar-san. Why, good evening. From the tone, my bar-kun's voice, I knew he was in a predicament. So the first time my bar-kun had phoned me, and he was calling from a payphone. Please calm down. Did something happen? His voice was erratic over the line. He had completely lost his sense of composure. What did the person that picked up the phone think of this? It's Oishi, some guy who sounds a bit out of it. He wants to talk to you. After checking that nobody else could hear, I prompted him in a hushed tone. What happened? Calm down, my bar-san. I can have the local officers head to your location. I'll be there soon, too. The cats. Impossible. His voice was quivering and hoarse. He wasn't surrounded by people even as he was making this call, was he? My bar-san, you're calling from a payphone right now, right? Where is that payphone? There were no other sounds besides my bar-kun's voice. It had to be a phone booth. I scratched out a notepad and thrust it at my colleague sitting across from me. Nimizawa phone booth. He understood quickly and hastily started on the internal lines. Calm down, my bar-san. What is your current situation? It usually wasn't a good idea to tell someone panicking to do so, but this was not a usual case. My bar-kun didn't just get in trouble, get away, and then call me. He was in the midst of something dangerous right now. But yelling at my bar-kun right now would just needlessly cause him to be more frantic. My bar-kun wasn't just calling to seek help. He was trying to tell us something more than that. And whatever that was, if I didn't get it from this call, I was certain there would never be another chance. My colleague pushed a note in front of me. There's only one booth in Himbizawa. A patrol car is on the way. 5 minutes. That's too long. How many officers are in there? 2. Not enough. If it was as I imagined, there were likely quite a few people surrounding my bar-kun. 5 minutes is too long. Did you call the officer stationed in Himbizawa? He's scheduled to be on parole. They're currently out and it'll be impossible to contact them. God damn! Wait. Could bring the car around? That isn't, Oishi then, because that's his nickname, isn't it? Understood. Hello. Oishi-san. Hello. It's all right. I can hear you loud and clear. There was something wrong with my bar-kun. That wasn't a normal coughing sound. Vomiting. Was it blood? Had he already been attacked? Was he injured? Mibara-san, the police are on their way. They'll be there in a couple of minutes, so hold on somehow. Hello? Can you hear me? Mibara-san! I could hear on the other end of the line that he was having a coughing fit. The worst possible situation popped into my head. Mibara-san! Who is the culprits? How many are there? I thought first he caught me as human. I couldn't tell if that was a cough or vomiting. Are you alright, Mibara-san? I thought the cover was a person, not oyashiro-sama's curse. Aren't you alright now? But yes, in the end. It was an intense bout of coughing. I hate doing that sound effect, you know, where you're just like, because it actually makes you feel just like, and vomiting. But I guess oyashiro-sama does exist. No, he's here. Mibara-san, please calm down. You've been fitting with strange for a while now. You've been following me this whole time. I run and run and run and run, but it just sticks to me like my shadow. It's so slowly, sticking itself into my back. Mibara-san, are they, right now perhaps, right behind you? Behind me, right behind me. Please, Mibara-san, I can tell you're scared, but please, who is it that's right behind you? I can't just look behind me. If I do, I understand that you're scared, but please tell me. You just need to turn around a bit. Who is it? Who is behind you, Mibara-san? Right after I said that, I could hear him vomiting intensely. What followed was a nightmarish sound. Mibara-san, could be that you're clawing out your own throat. There was no answer. But I could hear something like scratching. There was a bang as if something was being hit. Mibara-kun had probably dropped the receiver. I could hear groaning and vomiting over on the other end, and a repeating, abnormal noise. Hello! Hello! Mibara-san! Hello! I knew how far away my voice would sound on the other end, but I couldn't help but shout. Please don't have me have to shout too much. It's 9 p.m. for God's sake. That moment I heard whispering coming from the other end. I couldn't tell what he was saying. And the way he was saying it, was he talking to himself? Or was he talking to someone there? Hello, Mibara-san. Rather than whispering, it was some kind of mantra he was chanting over and over. I focused my senses trying to pick up what he was saying. What was he repeating? What exactly? Beep! Suddenly the line went dead. Did he use up his time? It was because it was a payphone. It was because it cut out so abruptly. The last thing he said came out so clearly in my mind. Oichi-san, the car's good to go. Oichi-san. It was... sorry. Oichi-san. That's what he was repeating over and over. Ooh, he said, I'm sorry. I had a gut feeling. There was no longer a need to hurry. I could hear the chirp of the Higurashi spilling in from the open window. I should have been able to hear them this entire time. I just wasn't paying any attention. Why did I focus on them all of a sudden? Were they trying to tell me something? Only the Higurashi knew. That's how I felt. July 1983. In Mizawa was 83, not 84 then. In Mizawa, a remote village near Shishimon City, there was already involved two female students. The suspect is caged and by age. Fuck, I didn't get to read that. Suspect curled over his two female classmates, ran a real good meal on Sonozaki to his house, and beat them to death with a mail bat. Is there any way to stop this? The scene of the crime in the suspect's room on the second floor. Yeah, you can, okay. How old's KT? He's aged 1x. You tell me we don't even get to know how old he is? Whatever. The inside room was covered with a significant quantity of splattered blood, and there were signs of struggle with victims. In addition to the scene of the crime, the entryway, living room, and kitchen all had traces of a struggle. Scene of crime and suspect room, object, blah blah. In case you didn't read that. At the entryway, the shoe rack and wall had evidence of being impacted by a strong blunt force. It is believed to have been the same bounce as the middle one. Having no traces of blood, it is believed the destruction occurred before the murder. There is a possibility that the suspect overpowered his victims to keep them from fleeing. In the living room, the rug had been pulled back, then thrown aside. It is hard to believe that this had a connection to the struggle with the victims, and thus the reason for this remains unknown. In the kitchen, the garbage bag was torn apart and its contents were spread out on the floor. Garbage was strewn about in the surrounding area, and handprints believed to belong to the suspect were discovered. It is believed that the suspect had, for some reason, taken out the garbage and struck it with his fists. The reason for this remains unknown. Well, we know why he did that. In addition, there was a note stuck to the fridge. The words, "Was there a needle?" were written on it. And we know about that as well. The meaning behind this remains unclear. Just in case, the garbage was searched, but a needle was not discovered. Well, the garbage door was functional. It had been left open ever since the suspect moved in. The garbage door was found closed. Garage. The suspect's fingerprints were discovered on the garage door. The reason behind this remains unknown. Well, we know about that as well. The suspect fled the scene of the crime. However, a patrolling officer at Higurashi local PD found the suspect collapsed inside a fungus. At the time of discovery, the suspect was unconscious in critical condition. He was rushed to the local hospital for treatment, but did not regain consciousness and died 24 hours later. The results of the autopsy indicate the immediate cause of death to have been hypovolemic shock. It was determined that the suspect had clawed out his own throat with his fingernails, and the resulting bleeding caused his death. Naturally. With the similarity to the death of Tom Dagger-san the prior week, the police believe there to be a connection and have opened an investigation. However, due to the wish of the local authorities, it will be a confidential investigation. Due to the abnormal nature of the death, it was suspected that drugs were involved, but as with Tom Dagger-san, no traces were discovered. What prompted all this remains inaccessible, as such this case is being treated as an act committed on impulse. However, with several accounts of the suspect's bizarre behavior leading up to the incident, it's possible that this was predetermined, premeditated. Separated from his group of friends, isolation and unexpected behavior, several days before the incident, the suspect began carrying around a metal bat. The suspect was observed displaying aggressive behavior as well as torturing himself at school. His classmates have actually heard portions of what he was saying. 2 days before the incident, the suspect declared to his parents the possibility of his death. Due to these circumstances, the police have begun an investigation on the possibility that this crime was not committed on impulse, but was instead planned several days in advance. Afterwards, a note was found in the suspect's room that he had written himself. The note was written on 2 sheets of a B5 college-ruled notebook, and it was being torn in half, and as the crime to conceal it was stuck behind the clock on the wall. The contents are as written in the appendix. The police believe it to be strongly related to the incident. The police changed their line of investigation based on the possibility that the suspect was involved in some sort of incident himself. But no further clues were found, casting doubt on the credibility of the note. Was the crime impulsive or premeditated? With the situation unclear and no further developments, the case has been labelled as unsolved. However, the following year, suspicion arose regarding the nature of the note. The note was not written on 2 halves of B5 paper from 2 separate sheets, but was originally a single sheet of B5 paper. In order to erase several lines from the middle, someone had torn them out. Judging from the size of the letters, the missing section is estimated to be 2 to 3 lines. It's highly probable that the person who eliminated the lines in question is not the suspect. In addition, judging from the traces of large quantities of cellophane tape being stuck to the back of the clock, speculation that something other than the note was stuck there has arisen. The person who first discovered the crime was a detective rumored to have a connection with the incident, Oyashiro-Sama. He underwent voluntary questioning but denies involvement in any damages to the notes. So they didn't get the syringe then, the suspect's note. I, Keiichi Maibara, am in fear of my life. I do not know why they are after me. After my life, The only thing I do know is that it has to do with Oyashiro-sama's curse. Ren and Mian are conspirators of the perpetrators. There are 4 or 5 adults, maybe more. They have a white band. This is all on the first sheet. Everything below this has been ripped out. Yeah, he wrote something else under that, didn't he? But from the second sheet, everything above this has been ripped out. I have no idea why it did come like this. If you are reading this, then I am probably already dead. Though the only difference may be the presence or lack of a body. You who are reading this, please uncover the truth. This is my only desire. Keiichi Maibara. That must be his name in kanji then. But technically none of that was actually, he wrote all that. I think the ripped missing piece is actually just like, because he tore it in half, didn't he? But then they said it was like, maybe he did write something else in there and it's vanished. But so has the syringe. How mysterious. Higurashi, when they cry, some of the special press, welcome to Hit Bizarre When They Cry. Wasn't that a beautiful ending? No. A new scenario has been unlocked. All cast review session has become available to play. Select extra on the time menu and then pick the all cast review session, which I'm going to do right now.